Yo, what's up, you guys? It's Jose once again from Patrick and Friends Music Company. So you don't see the upright today. Instead, you see the smaller version of a bass, which is the electric bass, which is still significantly bigger than a guitar. The bass, obviously, we've been talking about its importance, and we kind of touch a little bit on technique on the upright, and getting sound out of it, getting all that good stuff out of it, and just the nuances of the bass and the basics and fundamentals, as we were talking about. The electric bass is the predecessor of the upright bass. The upright bass played a huge and important role in early music, and really up until music kind of started expanding more into the genres, the multiple and various genres that we have now, with hip hop and rock and pop and all these other things. That's a lot of that is really primarily played on electric. But again, the upright bass before then, really up until really the 50s or 60s, I believe, which is when the electric bass was made, sometime in the 50s or 60s, everything was on upright bass. In comes the electric bass. And let's talk a little bit about it real quick. So the electric bass is, the sound comes out of it through these pickups. This is called a jazz pickup. These are called P-bass pickups, precision bass pickups. Serves for different tones, gives you a variety of tones. This combination in particular is called a PJ bass. And this is actually a Mustang bass made by Fender. Inside of these pickups are magnetic coils that kind of bring in the vibration and frequencies that you're giving off from the string. And it runs it through a 1/4-inch cable, which was what we have here, and runs it through an amp, some sort of power speaker that then projects the sound of the bass. If you didn't have that, the bass would just wouldn't ring. I mean, you would kind of hear it to yourself personally, but you wouldn't be able to hear it on a stage or anything like that. So for that, you turn the volume up and you get the sound. This switch right here on this particular bass just kind of switches through different tones in between the pickups and configuration of how whatever tone you kind of want to get. Let's touch a little bit about the electric. When we were talking about the upright, I mentioned that if you're familiar with the electric and the fretboard, this is called a fretboard. These are the metal kind of frets that separate the positions on the electric and that separates the notes. On the upright, notice how there's no actual markers for where the notes are at. We go through positions. Well, on the electric, these fret markers serve as it's a guide, basically. And from my personal experience and just my own personal technique, I like to kind of carry my upright technique into my electric. Meaning, on upright, I try to use 1, 2, 4. When I go to electric, I most of the time try to keep that similar technique. Obviously, it's a lot smaller. As you can see, the neck is so much smaller than the upright. But overall, same sort of concept where I have F, F sharp, and G. 1, 2, pinky. 1, 2, 4. Now, if I'm doing some sort of chromatic line, then I open up and I do 1 finger per fret. But if I'm just kind of doing like a small groove, like a so for that, I'm keeping that 1 and 4, just similar to the upright. Now, if I was playing something like a scale on the bass, let's just go to G, I would do all 4 fingers. Meaning, for this one, on the upright, for example, we were talking that we don't really use the ring finger. On an electric, you're okay to use that ring finger because the sound is easier to attain from an electric than an upright. For those of you who maybe have not seen our previous lessons, the strings and I kind of jumped over this right now towards the beginning, but the strings on the fourth string are similar to the upright. You have G, the next thickest is D, then A, and then E. And those are your strings. Now, an electric bass, sometimes you have a 5-string bass, which can either have an extra C string on the bottom under the G, or an extra B string on top of the E. Again, our intervals are spaced. The strings are spaced by fifths if you're going up, and if you want to look at it going down, they're fourths. Some basses will have 7 strings and others will have 8, but primarily you usually see most people playing on 4, 5s, and sometimes 6s. For this, we're going to stay to the 4th string. I think it's very important for people to really understand the concept of just the 4th string bass, the most basic form of the bass, without getting into any of the extra strings. Again, all these fret markers are half steps. So you have F, F sharp, G, and then open A, B flat, A, B, C, so on and so forth. D, E flat, E, F, G, A flat, A, B flat. All right? And the more you walk down, it just keeps going up in that pattern. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. And then the 12th fret, no matter what electric bass you're playing, the 12th fret is always going to be the octave of that string. It's the octave in this case right here, this is your E string. So that's the octave E, so you're playing E. The 12th fret on the A is A, the 12th on the D is D, and the 12th on the G is G. The electric bass is a little more, it's easier to see, to kind of see where you're at, to kind of picture a little bit better than upright sometimes. But nevertheless, positioning is important. So let's work on our G major scale. Now, I would usually start on an F major, but for the reasons that I don't want to use an open string right now, I really want to touch on the G major scale. One of the cool things about the electric bass is that you get to use the same position for really every scale. The same exact fingerings will work up and down the fretboard, no matter where you move. So, for example, this is G. And if you decided, well, hey, play me a D major scale, it's the same exact fingering. So let's touch on that fingering. So on a major scale, it's constructed by a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. All right. So you have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. So on electric bass, if you look at it, it's that same fingering, which is going to be 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, is really the basis and the construction of a major scale on the electric bass. Again, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. And if you move that up and down the bass, if you go to E, it's the same thing, E major scale. This is E, F sharp, and it's 1 or 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. All right. So you have E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. Same fingering. Up and down the scale. So that's your G major scale. So again, I recommend you take that slow, work with it. It's very important, and I can't state this enough, to really take your time on it. Take it as slow as you can and really solidify. Make sure that your hand position is settled on your left hand. You know, my thumb, like as with the upright, is kind of riding alongside the middle finger, right across the middle finger primarily. Maybe slightly to the left, sometimes slightly to the right sometimes, but it's usually centered around that middle finger. And I keep an open hand. If you can see right here, I have there's a space. You can grab a pencil, you could grab a drumstick and put it through this space right here. So I usually like to refer people to when you're gonna set your hand right here, if you just drop your hand, let it sit down, and this same sort of relaxed hand or posture, this hand, it's a very relaxed hand. There's no muscles cramping up, nothing like that. Simply flip that up, just like that, and just bring that under the bass. And then just move your fingers into position. And it is a very easy, and you just kind of let the string work for you, let the bass work with you. Very easy, it's not tiring at all. On the right hand, I usually like to keep my fingers, again, relaxed. You can rest your arms. Some people like to kind of rest their forearm right here and kind of have this little side angle. Me personally, I like to just drop it right here. I rest my forearm like around this little butt right here of the bass, upper curve, upper butt, whatever you want to call it, and I just let the fingers do the work. Try to use the meaty part of your finger too. Classical guitar players will use nails. I always prefer to really keep, and you'll get the best sound really if you keep your nails cut, keep them short, and just get that meaty part of the finger to pull a string. Again, take that slow. Work with your index finger. Get a nice sound out of it, then switch to your middle finger. And then alternate. And then vice versa. You can do index to middle and then middle to index. And now I do get a lot of questions about what do the third and the pinky do, man. Like most of the time, they kind of just sit in the air. Like, I mean, is really the best way I could put it. I usually kind of just keep mine on the side. Sometimes I tuck them in. But most of the time, if I'm just, for example, playing a groove on G, notice how my fingers are they're just there. They're kind of just hanging out. They're just enjoying the groove. They're like audience members from your body, if that makes any sense. All right, so that's kind of like a quick little tour of the right hand on the bass and positioning. Another thing is the further or the closer you get to the bridge. This is the bridge of the electric bass. The closer you get to that, the tighter the string is, so you can get a little tighter sound. So it's a little easier to play fast and cleaner, just because the string's tighter, so you get more tension, and you can really get your notes out a lot better, a lot faster and cleaner. The further you get up to the neck and the fretboard, the warmer and the lower kind of like that the sound gets at the bass. You get into a very warm region. Oftentimes in concerts, you'll see some bass players kind of play right here. It's because of how mellow it is. It's such a mellow sound. And then the further you get like to right here in the middle, which is my preference of playing, you get just a very neutral sound. And you kind of, every person has their own way of, where they want their sound. And knowing how to switch back and forth depending on what your sound is really just takes individual time and practice, messing around with the bass, figuring out what you really like and what the song or style of music that you're playing is calling for. So my preference, I usually try to stay in the middle and just really use both pickups. I activate both pickups, and I just kind of like to stay in that because most of the time I know exactly when I want to a really, really mellow sound, I'll come up here. If I need to do some sort of quick line, I move a little closer down to the bridge of the bass. As for the electric, I don't want to overwhelm you with information. I know I've already kind of talked about a lot on the bass, but quick little recap. right hand and positioning on the on right here at the where the pickups are at. The higher you get or closer you get to the bridge, the tighter the string, the tighter the tension. The lower you get, the warmer, the mellower, or the closer you get to the fretboard, the mellower the sound. As for the right hand, the same chromatic, a good exercise for the left hand, sorry, is to work out those individual fingers is just play chromatically. And then just repeat that top note. And then just kind of keep working that up. Work it slow. And then go through every single string, down, and then back up. Take it slow, practice with the metronome, and then you make a groove out of it. Never forget that groove. In terms of bass, we're kings of that. That is our job. That is bread and butter, time, groove. You can make a groove out of that. And then boom, you can make a groove out of that. And you have fun while you practice. Just want to leave you with that. Take it slow, practice with metronome, and just have fun with it. All right. As always, thank you very much for watching. My name's Jose, and this is Patrick Lynch and Friends Music Company. Click the subscribe button, give us a like, and check out our Patreon page. Thank you. See you on the next one.